Hola amigos de Wine News TV, les invito a conectar conmigo y con mis invitados en Wine News TV On The Go, un podcast que a su vez es un espacio donde aprenderás sobre el mágico mundo del vino a través de invitados de todas partes del mundo que nos contarán sobre sus proyectos para obsequiarnos de forma embotellada música, fuego y leones, como decía el gran maestro argentino Jorge Luis Borges en su poema Soneto al Vino. Este episodio es traído a ustedes por Planet Solar. Protege tus vinos y tus enseres eléctricos con las mejores placas solares en Puerto Rico. Las tengo en mi casa y por ello te recomiendo sus servicios. Llama a José Luis al 787-690-6444 para una consulta libre de costo y síguelo en Instagram vía JLR Planet Solar. Hola amigos de Wine News TV, el podcast. Estamos aquí en la sala de cata de Bespoke, de mi querido amigo y colega Rey Reyes. Estoy con Alessandra de la bodega Bindi Sergardi. Vamos a hablar de unos vinos italianos de la Toscana. Amo Italia, saben que es un país que he podido y he tenido la fortuna de visitar, donde tengo grandes y queridos amigos. Para mí los vinos italianos sintetizan todo lo que debe ser un vino. Elegancia, potencia, sensación de pertenencia a un lugar del mundo, versatilidad gastronómica y sobre todo capacidad de mejorar con el tiempo, porque como saben los vinos están vivos y los vinos de hoy no serán los de mañana. Alessandra, thank you very much for being here. How are you?
Thank you, Eduardo. I'm very good.
All good, all good.
Been welcomed so much in this lovely island of Puerto Rico.
Is this your first time here?
This is my first time.
Oh, really?
Yes.
When did you get in?
I got in Tuesday evening.
And you've been
So
full of events.
Short visit, but very intense. And again, I'm so impressed by the warmth of Puerto Rico. The people are just so nice, so enthusiastic.
Yeah.
And I think they really have maybe understood, if I may say, the essence of wine, which is conviviality, which is understanding the culture of other places in the world, and it really a great experience.
Were you in the mainland United States, or you came directly from Italy?
I came directly from Italy.
And you're going back to Italy?
I'm going back to Italy.
What a treat. What a treat for us that you made this trip particularly tailored to visit Puerto Rico. That's fantastic. That's brilliant. And, you know, you're with a great company. Rey Reyes, to me, has one of the most refined palates, and his selection is magnificent. I mean, there are plenty of wines here, but at all price points, they're unique. I mean, they're wines that are so delicate, and at the same time, they're very gastronomic and have a sense of place and a sense of identity. At the end of the day, you want wines to be like the world, diverse, right? So tell me a little bit about you before we get into the winery. Where are you from? Do you have a career, or you have a profession unrelated to wine? If you are part of the owners, part of the family that built the winery, I have to assume that you grew up surrounded by vineyards and you would see people drinking wine in the house. Tell me a little bit about you, and then we get into the winery.
I am very lucky because I am the daughter of a very Italian person, Niccolò, my father. He's the 22nd generation of Bindi Sergardi, so he has deep roots. Bindi Sergardi is the name of our winery and also of our family, Casini Bindi Sergardi. So he has incredible roots in Italy, in Siena.
Oh,
That's
Siena, what a gorgeous, I've been in Siena, gorgeous
So
city.
in Italy, we are right at the center in Tuscany, and within Tuscany, we are right at the center of Tuscany in the province of Siena. And this is my first half. My second half is American, because my mother, Joan Coburn, is from Boston.
Okay.
They met, my father and my mother met in Florence while my mother was studying abroad, and they've been married now for 56 years. So
what a blessing. What a
blessing. It is a blessing. And it really had two blessings, because not only have these deep roots, But my mother, being American, she was very pragmatic and how can I say, not a very typical Italian mother. So when at the age of 18, she kicked us all 5 children out of the
That's
house
very American.
to find our way.
That's very American because you were talking about the warmth of us in Puerto Rico, and I cannot agree with you more. We in Puerto Rico, even though we are descendants of the Spaniards, in many ways, our spirit, our I guess our manners are very Italian. We are warm. We touch people. We are passionate. We talk loud. It's the Latino thing, right? So whenever I am in Italy or it happens to me in Argentina, it's like I feel at home because it's like I'm in an asylum, right? Full of colorful people. I am with my kind. I speak with the hands. I scream when I like something. I react more with passion than with rationality. If you follow me.
Okay, so and I have both.
Yeah, exactly. So your mom said at 18, you guys are gone.
You guys are gone. Go wherever you want. Just find your way. So there was no obligation of working in the winery. Not only was no obligation, actually, you had to first find your way. If you wanted to study, they would have supported our studies.
Yeah.
If you didn't want to study, you were on your own and you had to find a job. And so we were never spoiled. And this is a great gift that my mother gave us. And if you wanted to work in the winery, you had to work at least 3 years elsewhere. Doesn't matter where. You could have done anything.
So just to cut you off here for a bit. So your parents met in Siena. Your mother was studying abroad. Obviously, your dad was part of a large heritage of winery owners. Yes. They married and they stayed in Italy.
Correct.
Your mother moved from Boston to Italy.
Yes.
Okay. And then how many brothers and sisters?
Yeah. She finished. She graduated, so she finished her school. And they got married. Yes, and stayed.
And how many brothers and sisters are you in your household?
5 children. I'm number 3.
Okay, all right.
So I'm right in the middle.
Going back, your mom said you can study whatever you want. We are going to support you, but if you're gonna come to the winery, you have to have 3 years of something else.
Correct.
Okay, and then what did you do after turning 18?
I went to Florence, so not far away, but far enough to have my own life. And I studied business economics. Okay. I graduated cum laude. And while I was studying, actually, right after I graduated, I went to work for another winery. I had the luck that when I sent my CVs and I sent them to, I'd say, any type of business, the first company that answered my CV was a wine company.
Oh, wow.
Antinori.
Oh, of course, Antinori,
I said, yes, and it was in Florence. So I started working there. And while I was working there to make a little bit more money, I taught, Picius is an international school. Mm-hmm. I taught winemaking, although I wasn't an enologist, but I studied hard. And in the evenings, I also taught winemaking. So I was really at that point a full immersion into wine. Of course, wine has always been present in our life.
Yeah.
But that was the first time I started studying, mm-hmm. which is always so important.
Yeah. And you were with the Antinori family and that huge project, one of the best known in the world, and not only in Italy, of course. How many years were you with the Antinori?
3 years.
3 years. Okay. So you committed to complying with your mom's terms.
Sí.
And then after those 3 years, you went to Bindi Sergardi.
Yes.
And you've been there ever since.
Yes.
That's great.
So that's over 20 years ago.
That's fantastic, Alessandra. That's fantastic. Okay, so that's you, and now let's talk about Bindi Sergardi. So if you are 23rd generation, so who started this? How did it all come about? I mean, who was the first?
The first. That's the beauty of wine and agriculture.
Yeah.
Meaning that it has always been part of Italy. Italy's economy until after World War II was all based on the primary sector of agriculture. So whoever owned land, I mean, you were whoever owned land, yes, wheat, yes, barley, yes, wine. So wine has always been part of our DNA. It was like bread. It was like food.
Yeah.
So wine and agriculture has always been part of our family since 1349. Those are the first traces, documents that we have of our family till today. And of course, in the
700 years.
And of course, in the past decades, wine has played a more important role for historical reasons, for the importance that wine has today. And during these centuries, we went through hard times, of course, because it's normal. You have it in a lifetime.
In 700 years, there are plenty of opportunities for those peak and valleys.
Exacto. Like in one life you have it. Imagine
in 700 years. Yeah.
But if I were to say and talk about a person who really made the difference, that I personally known and that I know that she really made a difference, is my grandmother. Because consider the fact that since the Roman time, as we were saying, agriculture has always played the most important role in the economy of Italy. Right after World War II, everybody started abandoning the countryside because the agricultural products were worth almost nothing, so you couldn't really survive. Together with that, the secondary sector, so industry, factories, started coming out near the cities. So everybody that was farming said, well, I want to have a wage at the end of the month. I want to feed my children. And left
stability,
said,
because
stability,
yeah, because with the crops you had to perhaps have 3-4 months, whatever the season or the crop timing is, and then try to sell as much, and then you depend on how much you sell and whether you can go out and sell that day. So it's unstable.
Esattamente. So everybody abandoned the countryside. Now consider that my grandmother, she was born in 1917. So she was very
World War One, the end of the first Great War.
And she married in 1939 to my grandfather Alessandro. That's why my name is Alessandra. And he left for World War II, and he never came back.
Wow. He passed in the war.
He passed. He was a prisoner in Russia. So imagine my grandmother being a woman, and being a woman in those days, it was not easy in Italy. With everybody abandoning the countryside.
What was her name?
Chiara.
Chiara.
And we'll talk about her when we get to the Riserva. She was orphaned from her father's side, so when she was 17 years old. So she was alone. And with a 1-year-old child, she continued farming. She didn't give up. And if you look out of our window at our estates, unfortunately, so many buildings around us have been sold in those days, in the 60s, in the 70s, in the 80s, and she did not give up. So it's thanks to her that we're still here today, and we're now at the 23rd generation. And she's my reference point, because of course we always have, as you said.
Yeah.
So,
but this is brilliant, because March celebrates I believe, Women's Month. So Chiara, wherever you are in eternity, thank you for this, and it's good to be able to taste the wines that you were able to bring to the 21st century. When did she pass?
In 1991.
Okay, so we're still talking about her 34 years after the fact.
That's how important
fantastic.
She is.
And you know what? Women in general are, and I've always said this, are way stronger than men. At least in spirit. Obviously not physical strength, because it's just different, right? And you were talking about your mother and how she was the one who would call the shots at your home. So probably she's the boss between your mom and your dad. Mom is the boss. It's
for some things, yes.
Well, in my house, it's mostly my wife who's the boss, and I'm perfectly happy with that. But I mean, you always have a partner. I mean, your mom has a partner, but what's remarkable is that Kiara did this by her own, without internet, perhaps without family money, and talk about, the probably the most decisive date of anybody's life is the year, the day you're born, and then another sort of parting of the waters of one's life is when you get married. So she was born on the on the finish line of World War I, and then she got married in World War II.
Sí.
Incredible. And then she was left a widow at what, 20 something years old?
I see, because my grandfather died on March 3rd of 1943.
And then she stayed alive for another almost 48 years. Did she ever remarry?
No.
Wow. And her father
is her only son.
Her only son is your dad.
Sí.
Wow, what a story, my friend. Let's get into the wines, because people are here to listen to us talk about the wines, and then we'll bring back and forth the story about the family. Which is the first wine? And cheers. This is one of the most beautiful sounds in the world. That one. What do we have here?
We have Achille.
Achille, and what do we have here in terms of the coupage? Is it Sangiovese?
Allora, Achille is an IGT Toscana.
Okay.
It's Sangiovese, so the king grape of our territory, and a little bit of Merlot. And although it's produced in the Chianti wine region area, it's an IGT. Reason for that is that Achille is a wine, let's say, off the charts of a Chianti. It has this, its simplicity, it has this great personality. It's nice and round, it's fruit forward. It's powerfully elegant, fresh wine. And this is a reason we named also the wine Achille. Achille was our ancestor, and he was master of the duty of salt back in 1400s, but that doesn't say a lot. What I want to say is that he was a man with an incredible personality.
Okay.
And he was off the charts. And so it's again to say...
An unconventional man, an unconventional wine. It's an indicazione geografica tipica. Right, instead of falling under the Chianti category.
You can tell that it's from Tuscany. This is for us super important, to have wines that are strictly connected to the land where they're produced.
Oh, of course. And you have the rusticity, the aromatics, the herbs. You have that sort of, I love how this reminds me of that generous Tuscan sun, where those grapes ripen beautifully. But then you also get those tomato bay leaf, and you get those iron notes, and you get, but the Merlot definitely does give her a little bit more weight. It rounds up the Sangiovese, which can be very wild and can be, steely, razor sharp grape. And I just love the plumminess. I mean, Sangiovese is wild red fruit, vibrant, that reminds me of tomato sometimes. But then the Bordeaux variety brings this sort of sophistication and flesh, and then gives the wine this, not creamy, but this fleshier sensation in the palate.
I agree 100%. Not creamy, but yes, exactly. And another thing, just to talk about our philosophy, the reason why we named it after a person is to remind us, first of all, that we're here because of others that came before us. So it's a sign of gratitude to say thank you to the people that came before us, or to the places when we go to.
And tell me, your labels are, I've seen them. This is my first time tasting your wines. Ray was generous to invite me to an event I believe you guys had on Wednesday night, but then I couldn't. I have a client meeting of my lawyer life. But these labels are just gorgeous. Can you explain? I'm going to post a photo of this, obviously, for my Instagram and other social media outlets. What am I seeing here? I have a lot of coat of arms, if you will, of different families, or is that your family? What am I seeing on the Achille bottle, on the label?
Well, I'd say that you're seeing a signature, meaning that
Okay.
it's our coat of arms, and this is the reason for which we put it on all of our bottles, is to say we strongly believe in this wine. It's part of us. It's part of Bindi Sergardi. And they want, I hope, to tell you, first of all, that we are traditional, meaning that we have a history that we want to respect, and we want you to find the history and the tradition in all of our wines. At the same time, we want to get rid of the dust. It's not a dusty coat of arms and
Yeah.
old in that sense,
No.
but it's full of life, full
It's
of
modern.
energy,
It's
full of colors, like our wine is, and like our philosophy again is, even philosophy of life. And they are all a work of art. So you have Bindi and Sergardi coat of arms represented in different ways on every bottle.
This is a great wine, and I cannot believe that. I don't want to call it the entry wine, but this is the
Sí.
first one we're having.
Sí.
I am getting this explosion of this tobacco note, leather. It's just so gorgeous on the nose. There are certain wines that I spend more time smelling than tasting. I could stay 25 minutes with this on the nose. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous wine. The Aquile. All right. Let's go back for a bit on the your grandmother was the one who we have to be grateful to for allowing you guys to be here today. But over the past 40, 50 years, I mean, have you expanded the portfolio? Did you start out maybe when she was with us with two, three wines, and now you have grown? Tell me a little bit about the passing of the baton, if you will, from grandma to your dad.
Sí. So my grandfather and till he was alive, and my grandmother bottled some wine, meaning not a big amount, but they bottled the wine. But after my grandfather passed away and my grandmother was alone, she reduced a lot the exposure, let's say, of our brand on the market, because she was focusing on survival more than anything else. Oh, now it's too tragic, but she really was focusing on other aspects. My father handled, well, let's say, helped my grandmother handle the vineyards, and he has an incredible love for land.
Of course, he was a kid. Like he had to step up. How
like
old was he when his father?
He could eat the land. He loves it so much.
How old was your dad when his dad passed?
2 years.
Oh God,
So he never met him. Yes.
Wow. But then your dad, even before going to formal school or university,
Sí.
he was brought to the business as a baby, and then he grew around vines. And
Sí.
wow,
He wanted to be a journalist.
Oh, really? So he
Sí.
likes to write or read.
He's an excellent writer. He's an excellent oratore. He's great. He really is. He
Would love to meet him one day if I make my way to Italy. Yeah.
You will stay hours talking to him. He's a very interesting person.
I can see, and you are as well. You have a lovely energy to you, and this joy de vivre,
Sí.
the joy of life. Okay, so your dad, 2 years, he was around.
So he has always lived the land. He continued agriculture, and he did an immense work in the vineyards, meaning that he brought new clones. He brought innovation. He's extremely avant-garde. He's always been very avant-garde. He's very courageous too. So he likes to go towards the unknown with intelligence.
Of course. So, he takes calculated risks.
So
married an American.
Esatto, bravissimo. And it's fun the way they met too, but that's another story. So he brought extreme innovation in the winery. He increased the hectares of land, all in absolutely beautiful places and extraordinary for wine.
Do you guys all live near the winery in Siena?
We have 3 different wineries, 3 different estates. My parents live at I Colli, where Achille is produced.
Uh-huh.
I live at Mocenni, where La Ghirlanda, the wine that we are about to taste together, is produced. So yes, we live on the estates. And my sister Maddalena, who's a very important piece of the winery and of the future of the winery, will soon live in Marcianella, which is the estate near Chiusi.
I have to go there. I mean,
Yes.
as I told you, I was with my dear friend Alessandro Cellai staying at Castellare. The Panerais were so kind to lend me the property, La Casa, that belongs to the sons stay there when they travel. And waking up there and seeing, oh my God, the land, and drinking the coffee, and then just, grabbing the lemons and the tomatoes, and then that sensation is so different than what I do here on my daily life as a lawyer, involved in this I guess the cycle of going to work and arguing and or with other attorneys and collecting money, and then social media. Days are longer there, and at the same time they're shorter. They're longer in the way that you perceive them, but then in your memory they're like, wow, it went by so fast. I was so happy while it was happening. That it was long while I was there, but then in my memory it just, I don't know, feels like a dance or a kiss. Incredible.
I like the expression. Like a dance.
This wine on the nose, it's crazy, crazy good. The all of the lavender, rosemary, the herbs. It's an explode. Is this 100% Sangiovese?
100%.
I can tell. I can tell. And this is Sangiovese taken to the highest quality, because you can literally smell the soil. It's like when you're, I don't know, dealing with your plants, with your pots, your plants, and you stick your hands into dirt, soil, earth, and everything is full of possibilities. I mean, it's life itself. You can grow whatever you want depending on where you are in the planet, but it's like the smell of blood. It's the smell of life.
I agree 100% also on this. Even because La Ghirlanda grows on an incredibly stony soil. It's such a hard soil, and whatever comes out, it has worked hard.
Yeah, the minerality is so intense here.
See, it fights for every drop, and it's true. And you have that ematico, the blood in the wine.
I've always said that, just like the circulatory system, I don't want to get too technical here, but we have, veins and the roots and everything that's underneath the soil is like the circulatory system of the planet, which would make wine the blood of the planet. But to think about how these roots have to dig deep and fight to get its nutrients, and then probably you have, I don't know, a small yield here. You don't have very small yield. The concentration, I haven't had a sip of this, but the iron and the minerality and the elegance, I know it's going to be so elegant because it also have acidity, is something you taste. It's very hard to smell acidity, but I do here get a tinge of this blood orange that I know will refresh the irony components to it. Let's see.
Il Chianti Classico. So we are in the oldest wine territory.
And I'm not spitting this. Wow, what a wine. It's like an Italian shoe. It's perfect. It's comfortable. It's elegant. It will last a lifetime.
It's tailor-made to the origins. Chianti Classico, Mocenni, Bindi Sergardi. So it has roots in that very specific place, and this is what I always strive for and work. We always work hard as Bindi Sergardi, as we were saying before, the link of the wine. It's so important to have the history and that is said through the wine. It has to tell you about Siena. It has to tell you about Bindi Sergardi. This is the strength of wine. It's
I get the tension of night and day. I get the generosity of the sun hitting on those grapes, and then the finish, the freshness when night cools the vines, and then it's this great harmony happening uh, on the palate, but more so than the palate, it stays with you not only in the aftertaste but in your memory. The finish here is super long. The closing, the exit, it's not bitter. It's a subtle amaro that once you go for a bistecca or a piece of meat, but then the finish is so elegant. It's like when you're sleeping, when the plane is about to land, and you don't feel the landing. It just touches, caressing the floor, and oh, we got here, right? It's so clean. The exit is perfect. I mean, certain wines you qualify the fruit or the integration of oak, tannin, alcohol, whatever. But here, the closing of this wine is so elegant. I mean, you can tell that you guys have been making this for 700 years. Wow, what a wine!
I can tell you that your words have described in an incredible way your wine, meaning that I subscribe every word you said. And not only while you were talking, you were making me think of the land, the sun when it hits. You talked about the night when it cools out. We are very high in altitude. We're 500 meters. So you got exactly what's happening in the vineyard. So you really described it in a perfect way.
What a wine. This is La Ghirlanda. Pardon
Sí.
my ignorance. Who or what is La Ghirlanda?
La Ghirlanda is a wrench. You see it also on the
Yes.
label. It's the form of a garland.
Yeah.
Is the name of the woods surrounding the vineyard where the wine is produced.
Okay.
So it's a way to say thank you for this incredible land, because it's the land, the woods. This is something we do. We maintain, for example, at least a third of our property is woods. And this is because we want to do our part for biodiversity, for the life of animals, for absorbing CO2, for keeping the temperatures down, because it's proven that woods do keep the temperatures a bit lower with this climate
The idea
change
is to last for another 700 years at least.
that,
right?
yeah, we want to be
Hopefully.
sustainable in that sense. Sustainability meaning lasting for as long as possible, that it can last through time. And this is why not only we have environmental sustainability, and we can talk about it if you want, but I think today, because we really filled our mouth with a lot of environmental, economical, and social sustainability, which is extremely important, don't get me wrong. But I'd like to add also cultural sustainability, because this is, I think, one of the threats we have today, that we lose our identity, we lose our roots, we lose the typicalness of our territory, which has made our territory so famous.
Yeah, wine can never become fully globalized because it will lose its magic. It cannot become like a recipe for all. I had never heard about this, and this is something that I will always remember. This conversation with you when you first gave me the knowledge, or gave me this sort of aha moment, cultural sustainability. We have to be able to preserve that as well. Wow, incredible. All right, let's get into the Chianti Classico Riserva Caledonia.
Caledonia was the first Bindi Sergardi woman, in the sense that she married Girolamo Bindi and said, while we're getting married, I want to keep my last name.
Okay.
So that's how the Bindi Sergardi family began. So thanks to a very strong woman, Caledonia. And this wine has a special meaning because it's produced nella vigna della signora Chiara, so in the vineyard of my grandmother. My father tells me, like, every time they went through the vineyards, my grandmother would say, I'd love to have a vineyard there, love to have a vineyard there. But she didn't make it. So in 1991, when she passed away, my father started digging inch by inch, because we need a huge hammer to really, because it's so stony. And slowly but surely, he he made the vineyard. And of course, my grandmother was right. That's where we produce Riserva, one of our best Sangiovese expressions.
This is probably the best nose I've had this year in any wine.
Ecco.
Jesus Christ, what a nose. And I do a lot of this. This is
Sangiovese 100%, aged in big casks. That's another thing. We don't use barrique, especially with the Sangiovese with delicate tannins. So we only use bigger casks for the microoxygenation, just to make the wine evolve.
Is that the one you guys call botti?
Botte grande.
Botte
Sì.
grande. What a beautiful expression of fruit, of place, of purity. And then the aromatics here, I would have to think that these are, I don't know whether they're old vines, low yields, but
both.
And very poor soils, of course. But it's very hard for me to try, and I'm not even going to attempt to describe this wine, because I believe that those things that impress you the most should leave you a little speechless. Silence is often much better than transgressing it. Wow, what a gorgeous, gorgeous nose here. This is just something to enjoy. Like, stay quiet and just enjoy it. I'm a talking head. Let me give it a whirl.
And here really you have these additional layers that just keep coming out, that are always a continuous surprise. And this is another thing. Sangiovese is a grape that really talks about the land. Other grape varietals don't have the same flexibility, let's say, but every different hectare Sangiovese tells you about that different hectare of land. And this is why our wines always come from the same vineyards, because it's the expression of Sangiovese that land tells you, I'm Chianti Classico, I'm Chianti Classico Riserva, I'm a Gran Selezione. So for the Riserva, and also for La Ghirlanda, for Caledonia, La Riserva, it's always coming from the same plots of land, because it's them that give the Sangiovese, and hence the wine, this
I can't believe,
immense...
Alessandra, that this is a 7-year-old wine.
Sì,
wow, and it feels so fresh. It feels the tension in the fruit is very much alive. You can bite into that fruit, which is what wine should be nowadays. And pardon the expression, these are my words, not yours, but too many wines nowadays are either commercial or pornographic. What do I mean by that? Commercial, they all taste the same. Or pornographic, these wines that are filled with oak, filled with sweet fruit, and I guess they have no soul. They're made in a style for people just to chug it down, and it's fine if you like that.
There's wine for everybody.
There's wine for everybody. But this wine is a unicorn, in as much as it is such graceful, restrained power, and it's prudence. It's restrained, because with those high quality grapes, you could exacerbate and create a massive wine, but you're going for putting the brake and not letting it get disjointed. The balance, I guess the word here to describe this wine is the equilibrium, the balance. And you don't feel, this is probably 14 point something alcohol, right? 14. And the control here, it's not the same going 200 kilometers per hour in a Fiat and going 200 kilometers in a Ferrari.
I know.
In the Ferrari, you don't feel it. Like, you can sleep and the car is flying. Here, everything is so balanced, so integrated. The tannin, the little presence of oak. But what it's striking here is that the principal protagonist not only is the fruit, but the place. I mean, this, much more than a wine, this is a patch of land in Siena, Italy. Gorgeous wine. Gorgeous, gorgeous wine.
Grazie.
It's near perfection. Thank you. Cheers. All right.
Sì.
What is the price point of this wine in Italy? Like in a store in euros? 100 euros?
No, 35. No, it's a great
Wow,
value.
it's a great value. This is unbelievable. I threw out that number because I've had a lot of super Tuscans nowadays that are $100 or more and cannot stand next to this because they're made in the style. This is made in an homage. I mean, I guess you're trying to preserve that legacy that we were talking about. This is an incredible wine. And here I have just one coat of arms. This is the Bindi Sergardi.
Allora, quello a sinistra, so to the left is
Uh-huh.
the Sergardi, half of the Sergardi, and to the right is Bindi. So you
Okay.
only have half and half. It's an artistic interpretation.
What a gorgeous wine. I'm going to do a
Grazie.
separate review of this one and then La Ghirlanda. So, what do we have as our last wine for the tasting? And I also want you to tell me. So you told me that your father, he was very much a forward thinker, a guy who introduced technology to calculate risks. Tell me about your generation, because I mean, your father may God allow him to live to 120, but at some point he has to pass the baton.
Yeah.
Take me to the current generation, and if you, your sisters and brothers, whether you have a 24th generation coming along, bring me to the current state of affairs at Bindi Sergardi.
With my father, I think I came along with him, meaning that in 2004, 5, so 20 years now, as we were saying, I started working with the winery, and my role has been to bring Bindi Sergardi all over the world.
Okay.
So I think this is my.
This is not Sangiovese, the color.
No,
this
questo è Cabernet Sauvignon, 100%.
Yeah, the color here.
Again, 500 meters, only 7,000 bottles produced, and this is bottle number 34. They're all hand numbered.
Okay, all right. So
I started bringing Bindi Sergardi all over the world, and really helped a lot the promotion of our wines that were not as known as they deserved. And 3 years ago, my youngest sister, Maddalena, who did an incredible experience of she's much younger than I am, 14 years younger than I am, and she did a 10-year experience in a multinational, and all the experience, all the baggage that she obtained thanks to these 10 years, she's bringing it into the winery, which is still family owned, family run, and also very, how can I say, we're not a multinational, so we're not handled like a multinational, but the knowledge that she has, which is immense.
That multinational, was it headquartered in Italy or somewhere else in the world?
Well, she traveled for 8 years, changing city every 4 months.
Wow.
So it's an American, it's American company.
Okay, so the 5 of you, you're the third. Who's the first?
Elisa.
Elisa.
Sí.
Is she involved in the business?
Not in the winery. She's involved in the business, helping my father with, but not in the winery, not in agriculture.
Okay, does she have kids?
Yes, 2 wonderful children, Alessandro and Nicolò, two boys, very smart, both of them, and very nice and lovely to have them around.
They live in Siena?
No, one is studying in USA. No, both of them actually now are studying in USA.
Where are they in the US?
And one is in New York and the other one is in Pittsburgh.
Great. Second in the family, the sisters?
Rebecca. My elder sister. Rebecca.
What does she do? Is she in the business as well?
No, she's not in the business. She works elsewhere.
Kids?
And yes, 2 wonderful girls.
Okay, 2 boys on the first one, 2 girls here.
Yes, and they're very young. So
they're very
not
young.
Even 18. Yeah.
Then you?
Yes.
Do you have any kids?
I have a daughter.
A daughter. How
And
old is
she's
your daughter?
15, Angelica.
Angelica, what a
Sí.
beautiful
Sí.
you have incredible names, everybody from Caledonia to Chiara to okay, and then who's fourth?
Clemente.
Clemente, the first boy.
Yes, the first boy.
He in the business?
No, he's not in business. It's
Okay.
just Magdalena, who's number 5, so the
youngest.
And so it's the two of us.
And she doesn't have kids, Magdalena.
Yes,
she does.
Has Leonardo, who's just turned 3 years of age.
Oh, he's a baby.
And soon, hopefully, but let's see.
Yeah, let's see. That's great. Okay, all right. Let's get into the last wine. I'm so happy that there are so many of the new generation. That would be 24th or 23rd? 24th.
Fourth.
So the future of Bindi Sergardi is secure. And
we hope. We don't know.
Listen, I am 47. You know, I'm like in the halftime of my life, as we say in calcio, the halftime, the medio tiempo. And I'm going to be a pro bono ambassador of your wines. This has been unbelievable.
Grazie.
All right, let's go, and hopefully I'll be able to keep doing this for a while, and hopefully be able to taste the new vintages of Bindi Sergardi and visit the winery. Probably I'll be in Spain in September of this year.
It's a short flight.
I know it is. I've done the flights. I've done Barcelona to Rome. I've done it. Yeah, it's an hour and 10 minutes. All right. Last wine, my friend. What do we have here? And on the label is an M, right? Lovely M.
Allora, it's a 91, Mosceni 91. 91 is the registry number of the parcel of land to say this wine comes from this specific small plot. It's incredible how this Cabernet Sauvignon tastes like Chianti Classico, tastes like Mosceni. It's a land that is stronger than the Great Varietal. Of course, it's a Cabernet Sauvignon. And I think it's a wonderful introduction for those who are not familiar maybe with Tuscan wines, but are more used to Cabernet Sauvignon as a great varietal. Start to understand the nuances.
This summarizes your life story because it's a French grape made Italian. So it's your mom, a girl from the US who came to Italy and sort of became Italian. And you guys are a blend of the US and Italy, literally, you and your brothers and sisters. And this is, again, you said it, you hit it on the head, Cabernet that tastes Italian, like a Sangiovese. And it's like this French, very educated, great, very polished, I mean, with this refinement of Bordeaux coming into the foothills or coming into the gorgeous landscape, La Campina Italiana, and making its way there. And then all the other little Sangiovese grapes. Hey, why don't you become a little like us? I'm being obviously very childish here, but
no. In simplicity, there's always the truth.
Yeah, and it's Cabernet in power. It's Cabernet in aromatics. But then it has the spirit of Sangiovese. It has, I mean, the aromatics of Cabernet are unmistakable. That pepper, that graphite, that pencil lead note to it. But there's this lovely, lovely herbaceous, greenish, Moorish, anise, and lavender, and yeah, it's Cabernet in physicality, but I don't want to say Sangiovese, but it's Italian in spirit. It's incredible. It's an incredible wine. Wow, really delicious, delicious Cabernet. And so you've been making this Cabernet for how long?
Since 2006.
Okay. And this is very limited production. You said how many bottles?
So the vintage 2021 is the largest of 7,000. So you can imagine.
If this wine is not worth at least $200, you guys are losing money. How in euros? Like if I go to a store in Rome
Mm.
I love Rome, La Città Eterna. And I go to a store and I see a bottle of this. How much would I pay?
Below 60?
No, you're kidding me.
No,
You're
no,
kidding me.
I
Who
know.
runs the numbers at the company?
No, now you're gonna scream at me.
No, is it you?
No.
I could sell this for 200. Jesus.
We have to talk today.
No, I have to go to Italy. Well, I mean, you make 7,000 bottles.
Sí,
This is Bottiglia 34.
sí.
This is obviously, the listeners are going to kill me because I want to be able to buy this. And I'm being very facetious here. I'm just, pulling your leg, as we say here. This is, okay, let me recap.
Sí.
So we are in Tuscany, Italy.
Siena.
So this is Siena. This is a country that's been making wine before the times of Christ. I mean,
Sí.
growing grapes. And we have a winery that has been making grapes or growing grapes or making wine for 700 years. We have Cabernet Sauvignon, king of worldwide, at least, of red grapes. And we know that Cabernet, when it's made in Italy, is not necessarily affordable. And we have something that tastes like a dream and smells like passion, and it's $60-$70. This is wow. This is a find. This is a gem. This is a wine that people would, if you don't tell them, would pay much more, not because just only of where it's from and Bindi Sergardi, but how it smells and how it tastes, the balance, the gorgeous tension again, and the interpretation of Cabernet. I mean, this is a wine. That's why I love blind tastings. This is a type of wine that if you would to serve it to me wine, I would think first growth Bordeaux. I would think first growth Bordeaux, but then I would be a little confused and I would say, and again, just because you brought up the name, I would say Solaya. I would say, something out of
Toscana.
from Toscana, but on the part of the wine store where they have the wines that cost $300 or more,
Sí.
What's the name? What's the wine that Ludovico Antinori is making now? He has a brilliant Cap Sauvignon, Cap Franc blend that's $250 or so. Like, there are so many wines that are Cabernet based or Cabernet only, made in Tuscany, that cost 3 times the price of this. So as a consumer, thank you. Thank you for this, Alessandra. This has been great. I've adored this interview. One of my favorites of all time. And I've been doing this. We've been talking for 52 minutes. Aside from these 4 bottles, and I'm planning my trip to visit you guys, you'll have to find me a good Airbnb or a good hotel near the property. Do you make other wines?
Yes.
Okay. That are not here in Puerto Rico.
Yes. Oh, well, I must say that Ray has a wonderful representation of our wines, and he now wants to add our Nobile di Montepulciano.
Oh, love those wines.
Sí. So that's coming together with our
That's
olive
a pizza
oil.
wine. I love that. They're so quaffable and so easy and relaxed. Nobile di Montepulciano. Yeah.
E poi olive oil. He wants to.
Olive oil is my other huge passion. No. Come on. Olive oil is my obsession. Like, my wife.
And it's perfect obsession.
Okay, my wife wants to kick me out of the house because I keep buying olive oil here, because there's this nuance to olive oil. It's a world in itself, just like wine. Like I was in Spain, in Valladolid, in the Rueda, and I went to an Almazara and I did a olive oil tasting.
Fantastic.
It's incredible. It's lovely.
It's an incredible product. It really is.
Do you make any white wines? No?
Yes, we have Bindo, which is Trebbiano and Malvasia mainly. Sì.
This has been great, Alessandra. I'm blown away. And at the end of the day, wine and people, and at least the wines that are a representation of a family, where you have a human being of flesh and bones and feelings and a past and dreams representing those wines, they have to have a connection. And the balance, the equilibrium is not only here in the wines, but it's in you in connection with these wines, because you are like your wines: elegance, personality, beauty, and timelessness. I mean, timelessness. Thank you. This has been a great interview.
Grazie mille.
One last, because I always like to leave my listeners here. We are heard in more than 28 countries, guessing on what's next. Are you working on anything new? Are you pulling out a new label? Are you doing R&D on some things? Or are you just trying to improve what you've been doing for 700 years?
That's always the theme, trying to improve, to give the baton to the next generation. So that's the always true. Specifically now, we're thinking of having Bindo be a Bianco from Sangiovese grapes. So having the Sangiovese.
Yes, this is what I love, because this is something that Matthew McConaughey, when he won the Oscar, I love him as an actor, he said that in life you have to have certain things, and he made a long list, but you always have to have something to chase, to look forward to. And trust me that I will visit you guys in Italy and meet your family, and I will ask about where is the white Sangiovese.
You have to wait, because we still have to. There's 2025 vintage, so let's see, harvest.
Well,
so
wait, I'm young, and I keep healthy. I do my exercise.
And we also we do wine tours at our winery, and it's a great way to learn about the history of Italy, of Siena, of wine. And it's, don't worry, it's fun.
Those are my last questions. So people can visit the winery. Is it open?
See, it's open.
How do they follow you on social media?
Bindi Sergardi.
Bindi Sergardi. I'm going to drop the handle here on the comment section of the episode. And then you are open for visits, right?
Yes,
you go to
on
the
website
Bindi
and there's
Sergardi.
the possibility of booking directly. So
thank you so much for
gracias.
this. This has been great. Mi gente, vengan a Bespoke, prueben estos vinos, son una maravilla. Me han volado la cabeza, como decimos en Puerto Rico, vinos con gran personalidad, elegancia, un sentido de pertenencia del lugar. Hemos probado 4 vinos de Bindi Sergardi. Les exhorto a que los prueben por su precio. No tienen comparación. Creo que sacan a la competencia del mercado. Gracias por su sintonía. Les envío un fuerte abrazo. Recuerden que en el mundo del vino lo importante no es la meta, el destino, la llegada, sino el recorrido y la ruta. Disfrutarlo una copa a la vez. Gracias por dejarnos aquí su comentario, compartir esto con sus amigos amantes del vino. Será hasta la próxima. Bye bye. Este fue el episodio de hoy. Recuerda dejarnos una reseña para que nos ayudes a crecer, suscribirte y recomendarnos con tus amigos amantes del vino. No importa cuán avanzado estés en el recorrido de enamorarte de aquello que decían sobre el vino. Son uvas transformadas en poesía. Aquí hay espacio para todos. Salud y, como siempre, dale share. Recuerden que este episodio fue traído a ustedes por Planet Solar y a mi amigo José Luis, a quien puedes llamar al 787-690-6444 para una consulta libre de costo para que pongas las mejores placas solares en Puerto Rico en tu casa y así protejas tus vinos de cualquier interrupción eléctrica. Síguelo en las redes en JLR Planet Solar.